Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this new key 74 entitled The Egregores, the Backstage of Life. Alright, so this is the first video on a series of 4 different videos, and also it is integrated as a big pillar of 4 different chapters, let's say, that I baptized invisible dimensions. So what are egregores? We're gonna spend 4 videos regarding that. But first of all, I would like to tell you the reason for being of this series of videos is simple, because actually this is extremely important to understand, okay, even to understand, okay, within this concept of egregores. Why? Because it's so prevalent everywhere, in your single day, in your daily life, at your own scale, at worldwide, let's say, scale and so on. And most of people don't understand, don't know it, and or it's quite confused. Okay, so it's to understand the concept concretely, really and practically, okay, within, I mean, your daily life in general, and not only in theory. Okay, in practice. The second point is to understand how does it work. Okay, what are they? Okay, that's first step. And secondly, how does it work? What's the mechanism of the egregores? Why? Because it will help you to analyze, to visualize the patterns of the fields of application, and thanks to that, to avoid to be exclusively passive, okay, to be victim, or to be oriented, or to be manipulated through the egregores, but why not to be co-creators, and also to be active in this world, in this life, because I insist, the egregores are the backstage of life. Everything in your single life is organized and influenced through them. Alright, so here it is, the structure for you to perceive the big picture of what we're gonna cover. First, we'll see simplified, down-to-earth consideration with lots of analogies, parallel, metaphor, parables. Why? Because it will help you to understand properly this concept, which is quite, let's say, blurred, because it's not tangible. It's a little bit delicate. And also, why? Because it's this evolutionary concept, and I will re-explain what is it later. The second one will be some analogies with the technology in general, and we will see that there is lots of things through the technology that they are a little bit spoiling the natural abilities of mankind in a certain extent. Then we will have an openness to a new consciousness, okay, it will be quite dense, okay. Third, we'll see the different cultural reference within the different traditions in the world for which egregores are prevalent, okay. And last, we will try to see a scientist or scientific approach and references, okay, yes, to confirm it can be also agreed the existence of them and the pattern through science as well. And with that, we will have a synthesis and also holistic vision, trying to have some transversality. So let's start with a short introduction. The term of egregores, apparently officially, comes from, has been updated in the mid of 19th century through Victor Hugo, French author, who is, let's say, an insider, to be honest with you. It has been taught about a lot of mysteries, but is not the inventor, okay? The term is prevalent as well in the Book of Henoch. The Book of Henoch has more than 2,400 years, and it was a part of the Holy Scriptures for Judaism, for Christianity, and from Islam. Islam kept it, Vatican kicked it out, and also in Judaism. So what is about this, except for Christianism, except in the Ethiopian church, okay? But what is inside, and we will spend time in the third video about that. In the book of Enoch, it's evoked. Enoch is, through a dream, through astral travel, maybe a projection, whatever, is taught about the mysteries of the universe. And the universal library, that's really important, is like if he had been, okay, taught, explain how do work the universe and the egregores, okay, like the 200 fallen angels and so on and so forth. And the 200 angels, fallen angels, are probably archetypes and or egregores. Okay, so this is something we will come back on it. Of course, I need to explain first what is concretely an egregore. So, etymologically speaking, there is two origins from egregore, Greek and Latin. Greek is interesting because egregora means to rise and or to awaken, to wake up, to awaken. Okay, so. All right, but the second etymology from Latin is egregius, which is chosen, or choice, or elite, okay? And literally out of the herd, okay? What does it mean? It means in the first perception in the Greek philosophy, due to the Greek mythology and so on, is not negative. It's even on the other way around, is more positive. It means that the perception at this epoch through the language is more like for you to open up your eyes, to rise your consciousness, your vibration, your field of consciousness, okay? And to awaken at the end. And for Latin is more, let's say, limited perception. First is for those who are chosen eventually. So it means an elite, sorry, certain people compared to others, like a choice. Choice can be also the fact that if you are aware of the process, of the mechanism of egregores, you can be an actor, okay, and thereby you're not as a sheep, a goat, and so on and so forth. So I invite you to think about it. This is egregores. Are an evolutionary definition in quote mark, conception, okay? Evolutionary conceptualization, and thereby materialization. And at the end, evolutionary action, okay? Why should I say that? Why did I say that? Basically because originally for the purists in mysticism, let's say, egregores are the divine source, okay? And they are fixed. And nowadays, I mean, those who are familiar with the concept, of course, of the egregores, it's evolutionary, meaning thereby that the concept evolved. And even the definition evolved. Before, it was exclusively created by gods, like you have different laws, and there is no new creation of new laws, for instance, meaning thereby that the civilization, the society doesn't evolve through time. So that's really interesting, this. And actually, before it means that it was exclusively divine, so exclusively positive. After that, it has been perceived as positive and negative. And nowadays, the concept is it can evolve through times first, and it can we can create new egregores. I mean, every day almost, if according to a certain number of people, and also a certain load in terms of thoughts, emotion, and so on and so forth. So let's try to see a definition, which is not academic, is from my side. Huh? It is thought forms. Okay, thought forms fed by individuals and by return with a retrocausality, okay, boomerang effect, by return, these egregores feedback literally, okay, nourish human beings. I do it again. Individual people, by their vibration, their thoughts, their emotions and so on, they feed literally the egregores, and by return the egregores feed them back and feed other people as well, if they're influenced, if they are passive and so on and so forth, or if they are there basically. Okay, so there is interesting things which is the reciprocity. Okay, the reciprocity means the resonance. Okay, it means that as above, so below, as below, so above. Okay, there is a mutual reciprocity. So let's say we'll try to see different perception regarding that, but we will have necessarily egregores is definitely linked to collective unthinking. Okay, Platon words of ideas, akhasha, akashicrecords, morphic fields from Rupert Sheldrake, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's recent concepts. I mean the names, but it's old as the beginning of humanity in a certain extent. But what I try also, we will try to arouse the question of this is chicken and egg. Okay, egregores created humans, shape humans, and after that humans shape the egregores, make them evolving, and so on and so forth. Okay, we will try to see that. So let's try to see some very simplified analogies for you to understand. I'm always comparing an egregore with a droplet, okay, small drop. Okay, imagine your thoughts, your emotions are linked to a drop. Okay, if you put electrodes, okay, you will measure electricities and so on. I'm referring to the previous key regarding the topic of energies. Well, if you emit, okay, some emotions, some thoughts, and so on, so on, some feelings, there is energies through that. So this droplet, okay, in a certain extent, is a metaphor, is activated, and then it's as a condensation, okay, it's evolving and reaching maybe other droplets. The other droplets are from my neighbor, are from someone I don't know, from another part of the world, and so on. Combine together the old droplets, small drops, okay, condensating, okay, creating a cloud, and these clouds could be perceived as an egregore. Okay, once it's big enough with enough density, it starts to materialize. What does it mean? It means you cloud. There is no density. Huh? You can punch. There is nothing almost. It's like candy cotton. But after a while, after a certain condensation, okay, there will be some rain, and this rain, heavy rain and so on, you can have floodings and so on. This is the metaphor of the materialization of the effects of the egregores. I do it again. So I think about that, okay, positively, for example. This guy, we all combine on the same points. For example, the new paradigm, the new vision, positive, and so on, of a new humanity, and so on. And a lot of people, more and more, they adhere to this idea. Okay, the cloud is more and more intense, bigger and bigger, and then, okay, flowing, deluge. A positive deluge, in a sense, though, I'm reinforced in my belief. In parallel of that, other people as well who emitted that, but also some neutral people that they were passive and so on, and finally they follow this new trend, this new egregore, or some people reject completely. Okay, so this is the phenomenon and the mechanism of an egregore. This is what is really important, is this notion of information. If you hear about information, there is form inside, formless initially, in potential. Okay, like in quantum mechanics, it's like a field of potentialities. Okay, contingencies, and after that, okay, a sphere of possibility. okay, and then after that there is the collapse through a particle. Is the same principle, okay? So from the information to the materiality, the matter is just density, as we mentioned in the previous key. But the density is just pure energy, okay? As Einstein said, I repeat myself, Einstein said there is no matter. What we call matter is only energy for which the vibration has been be reduced to be perceptible to our senses. And he finished by saying again, there is no matter. As we hear, I mean, as we think. Okay, so it's the same principle as well that you cannot see the electrical wires. Okay, and when you switch on, it's like by magic. Okay, but there is a hidden part. Okay, so egregores are the orchestration, the backstage of the piece of theater that we call life. Okay, when you watch a movie, for example, there is it's 1 hour and a half, 2 hours duration of the movie, and there is 2 years of work and a lot of people, a lot of teams for costumes, for the scenario, for the sound, for the lights, for many things. Okay, so it's the same thing. The egregores are this equivalence, actually. You know, if we go further, and the question of the evolution of the egregores is the point that it's like if, for example, in English, there is a certain number of letters. There is not new ones, okay? And let's say with this capital, okay, you can change different combination and you will obtain different words. And by combining, assembling different words, you will get some sentences, and the sentences some chapters, and some theses, some books, and so on and so forth. And you can write only by this initial capital of letters. You can create an infinite number of stories. It's a little bit like this, the notion of egregores. It's also the principle of laws and case laws. Okay, laws. Okay, imagine there is no new laws, which is not possible. The society evolves. So same for egregores. There is egregores, probably from the beginning of humanity, and new egregores because the society evolved all the day long. I mean the old days. Okay, when we say the metaphor of God, the living, what does it mean? He is living. Okay, so literally through us, he's experiencing himself in quote mark, through us as well. And same for the egregores. Okay, I will always turn around these points. You know, it's a little bit like individual role plays. For egregores, okay, it's same principle when you have, you know, tarot or arcana cards, okay. You have different combination, okay, it's the same, but the same number of cards, but you can play differently. You know, in a dinner is more archetypes, I do agree, but this is more for you had always the notion of the egregore of the guy is always laughing, criticizing, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's a little bit like this for football as well. For football, for instance, the egregore of football is important. Is an energy. You like, you don't like. Is not the question. It's just the fact that it has an energy, and also through the supporters, physically on the spot, in the stadium, but also beyond their screen and so on. And this is like energy in condensation as well. And it has been proved from the Super Bowl and or for World Cup and so on. There is a special energy, and I will talk about that because there is a interesting, not project, official, let's say, not generators, but let's say device in the world. There are 65 in the world. It's from Princeton University, originally by scientists and so on. It has been created in 98, and but I will talk about that in the last video. But just to say that it has been measured. For example, for the final of the Super Bowl, or the final of the World Cup in soccer, in football, and or for event like September 11 and so on and so forth. Well, let's continue. So, it's like the icons as well. The icons, what does it mean? It means, for example, when you take the swastikas, okay, swastikas, this is for maybe 80% of the population is associated with hate, with anger, with murders and so on through Nazism. Right, except that it has been spoiled by Nazi, okay, and originally it's a Hindu symbol, which is peaceful symbol of harmony and so on and so forth. But it has been perverted through the Nazi, who use a lot of deprivation of with occultism. Okay, they use a lot of things like that, and they created a certain egregore. This is interesting because they convert this type of symbols, so they change the energy of this symbol, and also even Hitler, through the way he was doing, for example, most of the time he was doing like this, and people were doing like this, so he was getting the energy. But secondly, actually, it's not Hitler who created anti-Semitism. Okay, the anti-Semitism, unfortunately, it's very old, and it has more than 2,000 years ago. Why? It's because first some people reproached to Jews to have killed Jesus. Just as an aside, Jesus was Jew also, so which is nonsense. But anyway, so it has been during the Middle Age and everywhere, most of the time everywhere, except in Muslim countries before last century with in 1948 with the conflict in Palestine and Israel. But before that, there was a good alliance in a certain way and the collaboration. But anyway, what I try to say is not Hitler who created anti-Semitism. Hitler embodied, okay, he reinforced the egregore of anti-Semitism. He reinforced that, and also he legitimized those who had hates against Jews. Okay, why? Because there were anti-Semitism in France, in Italy, in many countries in the world, even in Britain, in state and so on, and nowadays again. Okay, so what I try to say is this egregore helped probably Hitler to reach the power. He reused the energy of people by with a certain brainwashing, and by return he has been let's say spread this hate and this feeling and so on. So you understand, it's like communicating vessels. So that's why an egregore can be very dangerous, negative, but it can be also very positive as well if we are all in the same direction for new paradigm, new harmony, new earth and so on. It will happen as well. Okay, and both can, let's say, exist at the same time. Let's continue. So, gold or money is an egregore. Okay, in the perception, in the feelings and so on. The system, for example, the economical system, is an egregore. Is a kind of Frankenstein. Okay, to teach finance, for example, for MBA students, I'm always explaining that who is controlling what? Is this the states? There is no sovereignty nowadays. It's especially multinationals. But do you think it's the CEO at the top of a company? Most of the time, no. These are the shareholders. But the shareholders, they share. So they are separated. It's not a single man. Okay? It's spread over the different shareholders. Okay, so what I try to say, there is no humanity behind that. This system, the financial system, and even certain, let's say, legal system, they are egregores. They are a creation which is not human anymore. I'll give you an example. We are blocked here in Turkey for more than 1 year and still for 1 more year. Okay, to make it short, it's a question of stupid laws. Nobody is responsible. Everybody agree when we talk about French authorities, Turkish authorities, and so on, and everybody say, yeah, it's completely incredible story. And one day maybe I will explain that. It's an incredible story. Nobody is against us. Huh? There is no, we didn't do anything illegal, but law don't allow us. So we are trapped through a system. So there is no Mr. Law, Madam Law, okay, and so on. It's just a system for which we are a victim. This is typically an egregore. Well, let's continue with religion. Religion is an egregore. It's as long as it is fed by believers, it becomes an egregore of energy. In Christianity, there are 2.2 billion of people, Islam 1.5, depending on the way of counting, but anyway. So this is also a question of intensity, but we can go further. Intensity and also even the prayers. You know, one of the mantra, the more used currently is Om. Okay, why? Because it's the same sound. You repeat it from Bali in Indonesia, from India, from, I don't know, in Britain, in Birmingham, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's always the same sound, so the same energy. Okay, when we say God in English, it's just a translation. We say Dieu in French, we say Deus in Portuguese, or Dios. It's not the same, it's the same concept. I mean, everybody can have his or one's own ID, sure, but if everybody is agree on the principle, I can consider even the fact to name it like this is not the same energy. The Muslims, for example, who they are, wherever they are in Turkey, so they are not Arabic speakers, but they say Allah. In Indonesia, in majority they are Muslim, they say Allah. Same, Dieu, God, sorry, okay? So wherever they are in the world, they always say they activate a common energy through this egregore. I hope you understand. You know, another egregore is, for example, the Romeo and Juliet, okay, from Shakespeare. I'm not sure they really exist, but a similar story might exist in the world between different communities, Indian and from Pakistan, and so it's almost obvious, you know. So this is an egregore, for instance. Let's say another example: love, sex. Okay, tantrism. You know, tantrism is not focusing only on sex, of course, but the perception is like in Hinduism. The feeling is that the gods, the small gods, we can consider they could be egregores. They are nourished through mankind and through the orgasm, the peak. I mean the sex, the emotions, the feelings of human beings. You understand? It's like I don't know, an old man observing a school and so on, and is living. By procuration, by projection, you know, and apparently the egregores would be like this. They would be like in tantrism. They would be, let's say, nourished by our emotions and our feelings. That's why they are thought forms, and by return they give us back and they influence us. The concept of the symbol of the serpent's snake, for instance, in the Garden of Eden, for example, it is perceived as a punishment, and or just an access to knowledge, and so on. Is a question of perception. It can be the Kundalini activation, okay? It can be the reptilian part. Reptilian part is just the survival spirit, the survival feelings. That's the point, and so on and so forth. So is it the good or is it the bad? This is evil or this is up to anybody. But even this notion of evil, I told you in this chapter, the concept of evil change over the time. Okay, for example, I say the devil has different, let's say, function or names. Let's say the enemy to mankind, who wants that people are separated to unity, the divine unity, and so on. The obstacle, okay, to highlight the light, also to emphasize this difference, the duality, okay, and also to the defamator, to provoke a reaction of proving our faith. Okay, so at the end is a little bit the useful ideas. Okay, that's the point. And another point very important and evoking this notion of egregores is Satan. Satan, either you have a capital, let's say, a capital letter, and in that case, it could be, the character, okay, but it is literally an egregore. Okay, it's nothing to see with the little beer with no, it's not this. It's like an egregore, invisible, but there is an energy regarding that. But Satan with, let's say, small s, actually, it is an adjective in potential within anybody. Okay, what does it mean? It means that it is just an energy that we activate or we let it be. Okay, but as I explained also last time, let's say the human beings has to consent to give the power to evil and so on. Okay, so that's really important. But the Satan with a capital letter, and they are egregores, and they are responding, and this is a question of, let's say, mutual reciprocity. Actually, there is an evolution also in between the concept of God as well. Some people add a concept of gods like Anunnaki and so on. I will talk about that in the third video regarding, let's say, the notion of the tradition, and also we'll see that in the alien parts in the another series of video in 2 months. But anyway, just to conclude in a certain extent, when I talk about God, divine, and evil, actually, I told you many times, there is essentially two energies: fear and love. Love is unity, is divine, and fear is segmentation, fragmentation, separation, and this is evil, devil. But both together, combined, are the duality. One is, highlighting the light, highlighting the darkness, okay, mutually. If you are only light, how you can see light? You cannot see light anymore. Okay, so it's the principle of duality. So we can say the most important two pillars of the existence are these two egregores: fear and love, unity and separation. And I'm gonna ask you, what is, because there is the most important, the unique and multiple, the most powerful egregore. I invite you, probably the most powerful, I invite you to meditate on that, because I will not tell you the answer, and maybe it's not true in this video, but in 1 month, at the end of the last 4th video. Well, I hope it will help you to visualize a little bit more. We'll go further in the next video. I hope it will help you to shape your master key to open up the doors of consciousness, love, whatever you want. As you know, all the roads lead to Rome, and to the Dome, and to home. Thank you for your attention, and see you very soon.